Marilyn David, your host, and it's indeed always a pleasure to come here in your presence, in your homes, in your living rooms, on your devices, just to spend some time where we dialogue, we discuss things, we interact, we share information and so on. And it's indeed always gratifying to see and to feel the responses and the words of encouragement, the words of wisdom, sometimes the words where persons are literally giving you information, whispering information and walking the streets and so about, and persons stopping and sharing with you things that are happening throughout Tobago. And I want to say to you, the viewing public, and all of Tobago, that it has indeed been a pleasure coming here every Tuesday to spend this time with you. And we want to continue in that same momentum. Actually, we want to be able to increase that momentum as the time continues, as it goes forward. This evening, for those of you who may be joining us for the first time, you can view this program on the Tobago Updates website. You can also look at us on the Tobago Updates YouTube channel. However, the most popular platform that persons tend to utilize is the Facebook page, the Tobago Updates Facebook page. We encourage you to share your comments on the page. We encourage you to make your recommendations. We even encourage you to rebut probably things that you may see being shared and discussed as the show unfolds. But let me also encourage you to be respectful, to understand that everyone's opinion matters. And it's indeed a pleasure to have persons of all persuasions to join us on the show. So let's respect each other. Bear in mind that this is also a family program. Many parents sit with their children because this is the program that indeed keeps persons informed with the facts, bringing to you all the current affairs, the information, bringing it to your doorstep or into your living room. So if you have photos or videos you want to highlight an issue taking place with you as an individual, or even something that's happening in your community that you think you want to highlight, you can send that information to 284-6597. That's 284-6597 or 356-8833. And many persons utilize the opportunity to forward video footage or pictures of images and different things that they also want to use the time to highlight of things that are happening in that community. And we know that this has been a successful means, as well as would have been done with the Kendall swimming pool project, as well as the Bloody Bay Road. Sadly, to date, none of those issues that were raised have been addressed. And in the midst of this budget season, I want to remind the Chief Secretary, the goodly Chief Secretary, as well as the area representative for the Roxborough-Argyle region, that they have a responsibility to the people of the district that elected them to ensure that they can operate with a measure of comfort and to utilize the facilities that have been made available by previous PNM-led administrations, so that the villagers and the community members can all benefit from swimming pools and good roads and proper drainage and other recreational activities. So we're reminding you guys of the commitment that was made and the several promises made, and still calling on you, Mr. Chief Secretary, to fix the Bloody Bay Road that still constantly floods, and the villagers are at their wits' end. And we're calling on the area rep for the Roxborough-Argyle region to please pay attention to the cries of the persons in that particular district for the continued or the reinstatement of the usage of the swimming pool that indeed was a village staple at that time. So folks, I want us to move into introducing my guests in studio with me this evening. Joining me today, I have to my immediate right, Ms. Akisi London, the General Secretary of the Tobago Council of the People's National Movement. Welcome again. Not a stranger to the Minority Report. Welcome.
Good evening, Marilyn. Thank you for having me. Good evening, Tobago.
And to her immediate right, we have Mr. Gavin Walters. Again, no stranger to the Minority Report, and I'm certain no stranger to all of Tobago, being one of the most vocal activists, as people like to call him, on social media and otherwise. Gavin, welcome this evening.
Thank you. It's nice to be here again.
Nice.
Good company.
Nice. So folks, we want to say this evening, as we're about to get into the program, and as we normally try to do, it's going to be a segmented program. I want to say good evening to the minority leader, Assemblyman Kelvon Morris, who is not with us this evening, but not resting, still hard at work about the people's business. I want to also say good evening to the minority councillor, Mrs. Petal Daniel Benoit, hard at work presently, and even though they are not here physically, they are definitely here with us in spirit and have been for the past 2.5 years, really working hard and getting the job done, representing all of Tobago well. And it's something that I want to just clear that up or reinforce. The job that they do as the minority leader and minority councillor, they represent not just the views of those who are not in favor of the administration, but they represent all of Tobago. For those who may not know where the pitfalls lie, that is why we come here weekly and present the facts and we present the information so that persons can be aware. I can avidly testify that after last week's show, where the Assemblyman Morris and myself, we would have completed the show, persons actually messaged indicating that they had always supported they were always anti-PNM. However, with the information that constantly is shared, that they are now looking at things from a different perspective, that they're seeing, things differently. And they even admitted that the PNM's professionalism and standard in governance is way ahead of the rest. And it was our founder that said the only alternative to the PNM is chaos and confusion. So with that, I want us to go right into our program this evening. This was a busy weekend. We had the much anticipated PNM Sports and Family Day, and that's what we're going to kick it off this evening with, guys. We're going to have, first of all, take a look at some of the activities, some of the photos, the videos and stuff, and then we're going to come back in studio and discuss. The General Secretary is going to share with us some of the things that mounted up to us getting to that point, and then we're going to look at some impact. There we see a number of photos. We're seeing political leader, Mr. Dennis. We're seeing Mr. Mitchell as well. We're seeing Mr. Dennis and his newborn son. Members of the team present. Members of the team present in Trinidad, representing Tobago well. And I must say Tobago was indeed well represented in this in this event. Yes, Miss London, you're seeing you, Miss Beckles. Hey, look, Auntie Betty and Jeremy Innes. This is the Tobago tent, rammed to capacity, overflowing. Persons had to go and seek alternative means of shelter because there was absolutely no room in the tent and the venues.
General Secretary, all members of the PNM and executive, on your behalf, I say to the PNM gathered here this afternoon in your thousands in the brand new Spinner Park,
Nice. So we would have heard from our political leader as he opened this part of the sports, and I must say, if you were simply judging by the photos, you would be able to identify that the turnout was indeed phenomenal. Persons responded from north, south, east, west, central, and Tobago. All answered the call that is great is the PNM, and it was indeed heartwarming to get to the venue. We see this was just after the ministers would have beaten the councillors in the tug of war. I don't know how this happened. All those ministers seem to be a bit overaged, and these young, strong councillors would have allowed them to get the better of them. Yeah, we see Mr. Sinanan there showing God alone knows what. And even taking the opportunity to come a bit more to the forefront because,
Strong man guns.
strong man. And this is a snippet of the march past where the Tobago Council would have presented. This is a combination of Tobago East and West, delivering what I considered to be the performance of the day. The judges didn't agree with me, but I would have, this is the people's choice, I would say. I don't know if you can get some volume on the So we're back with the photos there. We see those who were taking the salute. Again, this is from the Saturday event, Curry Duck and Cricket. You see the Mayor of San Fernando, Mr. Robert Paris, also line up. We see the famed Ms. Joan Yule Williams along with MP Adrian Leons and Party Elections Officer Indar Parasram. There we see the head of Senator Lawrence Hislop. It was supposed to be a high shot, but he stood way above the crowd. So we have quite a bit of footage there in terms of the sports and family day. And indeed, our time was hard. I think the camaraderie was second to none. If it's one thing, I think with this particular event, the sports and family day continues to grow.
Yes.
And it continues to deliver. I even think that what was a strong motivating factor as well was our recent victory in the Lengua area. Pastor Otley down there, again, congratulations. Really coming home with a sweeping victory, showing the strength and the the aliveness of the People's National Movement, even in a district that many consider to be controlled by the United National Congress. General Secretary, I want to start off with you. Great turnout at the event. How was this for you in terms of the experience, and what do you think this signals for the PNM? What is the signals that came out of this?
Well, thank you, Marilyn. This has been my first sport in a very long time, but I've always been involved in the PNM sports. And when you get to any sport, wherever it's held, it's in Trinidad or Tobago, the energy that you feel as you enter the compound is so electrifying and energizing. It was really nice to be around my PNM brothers and sisters. I was particularly impressed with Tobago's presentation on with the marchers. Those young people putting work in, day out, and they came and gave all their support in that hot sun. The sun.
Correct.
But I think it signifies that and puts all rumors that persons may have that the PNM is here, is alive and well, still active, still strong. I was particularly impressed with the amount of young persons I saw being involved in the sports day, and I'm sure that we can translate those to votes when necessary, but it really was heartwarming and encouraging to see the amount of support that was there, to see the MPs interacting with the members of the constituencies and taking part in the fun and the games. It really was a sight to behold, and it was really, really nice to be part of it once again.
Gavin, again, you probably attend every sports and family day in history for the PNM.
Well, actually, no. The last one I went to was at Mandela Park, and that was something like probably about 12 years ago.
That's a while, yeah.
Yeah, that's a while.
That's a while.
Because I was there with my entire family, and my last son might have been a baby at the time, and he's going to be 13 this year, so it was around 10-12 years.
So you returned. How was it for you?
Well, the highlight for me was to meet my Trini family, who I converse with on social media every day. You know, getting to see them for the first time, that was the highlight for me. All in all, it was a fun-filled weekend, full of excitement. Even with the being part of the cooking, and that kauto. If you never tried that stew kauto, you better try it. Yes. But I was really impressed by the turnout.
Yeah.
It was massive. It was a mixture of everybody. It was a mixture of youth, mixture of the mature. I saw quite a lot more people of the East Indian community that I haven't seen before. That could be significant. And that is probably coming out of what just happened recently in the two elections, especially in that Siparia area, where we gained 600 votes, right? We gained and they lost. So that is a sign that the UNC and everybody who opposed to the PNM must take note of. That the PNM is a mighty, strong and powerful organization that is here to stay after 68 years.
Correct.
And we ain't going nowhere.
Correct.
We can only get stronger. And people are beginning to realize that the PNM is what makes more political sense than any other political party in history. Remember, there are 72 defunct political entities in Trinidad and Tobago, while the PNM is still alive.
That's right.
When I discovered it was 72 political parties that were defunct, was a few years ago. And I know there were more added to that. Because the PDP is also defunct.
Correct.
They just ain't ready to lie down yet.
Yeah.
And this one in comatose state, they on the way out. So, all to take note,
in typical
Take that
Gavin
to the
Walter
bank.
style. Typical Gavin Walter style.
Quick as
Now, what? And I'm throwing this out open. We would have seen a significant turnout, and as both of you could attest to, the energy was high, the atmosphere was charged. There have been many who have spent the last 2.5 years, or in the case of central government, the last 4 years, trying to convince persons that the PNM is on a downward spiral. There are many who would have spent the last 2.5 years here in Tobago, even trying to build narratives that say that the PNM is no more. It has no political life in it. It should be in the political cemetery, as they tried to indicate. The signal of this Sports and Family Day, on the heels of the victory in Lengua, what do you think it means to us here in Tobago? One, because the Tobago contingent was very strong as well.
Yes.
Quite a number of persons, even when, in terms of coming back up on the boat,
Yeah.
I think at one point in time I thought the boat was chartered because the entire back of the boat were persons who were coming up from the sports. When I got to the middle, on one side, the entire side, and then when I got to the front, almost everybody. So I started wondering if the party had chartered this boat for this particular sale. What, in your opinion, what does this mean for us? Where you see it, how does it impact going forward?
Well, as I said before, the people were inspired by the results in the recent election, right? And if you have an open mind, people must learn to have an open mind about the politics, about the state of governance, and who is there as the alternative, right? And have a conscious state of mind and make a conscious decision, and that's what people made in 2 elections there recently. You know, I've heard some people express concern in Tobago about the 2 seats that we have for the parliament. And I try to understand where that comes from, because at no time I've ever had that feeling that those 2 seats are under any threat. Especially now.
But from who?
And you see, they're basing that on the results from December 2021, right? But so much has happened since then that there's no way that this regime could inspire anybody new, anybody who's sitting on the fence, more than they had from December 2021. Because remember, they might have won most of the seats, but each seat was narrowly won, right? What have you done since then to now that will inspire anybody new to be a part of that? Much less to give them 2 seats to go into parliament. To do what? To do what with it?
And let me also plug in, Gavin, that we have 2 of the hardest working MPs.
Of course.
The Prime Minister and political leader has always indicated, every time he stands in a political meeting, where especially when he's introducing the MP for Tobago East, he always indicates that it is one of his hardest working ministers and hardest working MPs, and we know that both the MP for Tobago East and the MP for Tobago West have been canvassing throughout their constituencies. They've been walking. They have been introducing programs. Just recently we had the Honorable MP for Tobago East on the program, Mrs. Ayana Webster Roy, and she would have rolled out or discussed the many programs, especially for women, who have been abused and children and so on, right here, available right here in Tobago. And I mean, when you listen and you look at even the Honorable MP for Tobago West, the number of groups in Tobago that you see assistance going to, and the sporting programs and so on. I mean, the record is impeccable.
Correct.
And I want to say this evening, without fear of contradiction, that we have seen two of the hardest working MPs, not just in Tobago, but in Trinidad and Tobago, in the person of Ayanna Webster Roy and Shamfa Kojo. And I want to encourage all of Tobago to block out the naysayers.
Yeah.
But
You know, look at the facts.
But anybody who is willing to say that the PNM is what they say, the PNM is dead.
They can't use that with
That's preposterous.
Nobody could ever use it with them.
I mean, come on. Let's be real. let's be real. The PNM is and will never be, because the PNM is the only political party who can take Trinidad and Tobago from point A to point B with sense.
Exactly.
With sense.
Let us also, and I mean, I do want us to get to go too much into the budget conversation, because I can say that the minority leader and minority councillor will be coming out on Thursday, all guns blazing, and I want to encourage the population to log into the debate on Thursday, as the minority leader and the minority councillor take their position to stand against this illegitimate administration who have continued to display high levels of incompetence and unwillingness to do the actual job that they were hired to do, and culminating only in the conclusion that they have indeed failed Tobago. But on Thursday, I want to encourage persons really to log in as the minority leader and minority councillor both line up and present to Tobago the budget debate, and apart from simply debating, also presenting a bit of visioning as to where Tobago was under the PNM-led administration and where Tobago can be or can be positioned in the future when the people of Tobago put the People's National Movement back in office. So folks, I want to encourage you, don't miss that budget debate on Thursday, as we go back to the House and put this administration straight. So guys, we're looking at this thing as we know the budget is in the air and so on. A number of disappointments leading up to the budget. I wanted to highlight the fact, as Akisi would have spoken to the strength of the party. I want to highlight the fact that we saw recently the IMF coming out and praising the government for its leadership in terms of the economic growth and so on that Trinidad and Tobago has been experiencing. And then on the heels of that, we saw Moody's International come and once again upgrade the rating from positive to stable. And I mean, for a country of our size, to have this kind of reputation in terms of our economic recovery post-COVID is indeed admirable. I want to speak to the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, in terms of lending leadership to the government and taking us, navigating the storms post-COVID and bringing us back to a place now where we have been experiencing quite a bit of turnaround in terms of our economy. So folks, I want to really thank those of you who have been pushing and really putting your shoulders to the wheel. So where is, and from a layman's term, what are some of the expectations that you think persons may have had going into this budget? Just what are some of the things you would have liked to see?
Well, let me start by saying, I must admit, I didn't listen to the presentation at all. And partly because I didn't remember it. Simply didn't remember it. You know? But people need to know that after 2.5 years and $5 billion, we haven't seen anything happening.
Yeah.
If I had to talk about housing, in the 2.5 years, despite all these promises of fixing the housing problem in Tobago, all we getting is complaints from the secretary about being underfunded, right?
Trips.
But you only managed to build 2 houses in 2.5 years? Huh?
And he didn't complete the second one yet.
And the second one that was supposed to be finished in 35 days or less. You know, heading for the 5th month. Right? And it's not yet completed.
Because they have to go and see how to finish it and come back.
So, I mean, that's where we are.
So we definitely are seeing an administration that, when you listen to all the promises that were made, when you listen to all the campaign conversations and the presentations and the digital imagery and so on. Last week, the minority leader and I, we had a segment called Remember When. You know, we will not forget some of these things, and I want to bring up one that we didn't have time to list last week. Remember the Scarborough, the redevelopment project? Remember when money was spent to do a lot of nice graphics? Where are we now with that conversation? Almost 3 years into our term, and yet we still having small talk and excuses. You understand what I'm saying? And this administration continues to show that they are not in a position, they don't have the capacity to do the job, to govern, because as Mr. Manning said, everybody thinks that they could do the job because the PNM makes governance look
Easy.
Yeah.
So
they came and convinced Tobago.
I'm no expert by any means, but I think that the current administration needs to, like, at which point are you gonna be honest with the people of Tobago? At which point are you gonna say, all right, we promise you this, but we fall short. We can't. At which point are you going? Why you keep? You just keep tonguing us along, like if you're just giving us this fairy tale, and at which point are you gonna stop and govern and do what you said you will do? And if you can't do it, be honest and say you can't do it.
But you see this Remember When thing that you all just started it?
Yeah.
That is a beautiful introduction into the politics, because there's so many things that people either don't remember,
Forget.
you know, genuinely don't remember.
Exactly.
People pretend to forget, you know, and some just don't care, right? Because you could add a million things to this sentence, remember when, to complete it,
All right.
right? Because who been in town long enough will know exactly where we came from, especially from 2001 to the present. This regime came in on a silver platter. It was just for them to just continue with it and you know, blast off. But we going backwards. It's a retrograde step all the way. So we ain't going anywhere. So I am sorry for who, when the PNN come back, they have a lot of work to do, right? You realize you don't hear for 21 years much again? That foolish statement that they've been using all the time as a defense to say the PNM haven't done anything. You see, ingratitude doesn't work well with me at all, right? I know where we came from in terms of unemployment, in terms of infrastructure, you know, in terms of returning nationals back to Tobago when things started to go good. And I ain't talking about people coming back here after they retired in a foreign country, you know. I'm talking about young Tobagonians coming back here and making it. Remember when in the hospitals, when you go to the hospital, we were seeing more of either doctors from India, the Philippines,
foreigners,
or Africa. What are we seeing now?
A lot of local
Tobagonian doctors.
Young doctors.
Yeah.
And you know how that really came about? under Patrick Manning when the GATE program
was introduced.
You understand? And it's up to us, young people, young Tobagonians, young black people in the country to capitalize on that, because they never had it so good before.
Yeah.
Right? I remember Tobago and New left Tobago in the 80s when we had an exodus of people from Trinidad and Tobago after the NRA came into power. And there was this introduction of cola and the taking away the 10%.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people migrated out of Trinidad and Tobago, including this woman who was an ardent supporter of the DAC that became part of the NAR. Never to return until after the Irving London regime. So maybe midterm in a few years after they came into office. And we had a conversation, me and our lady, and she was saying, there's so many opportunities in Tobago now.
Mm-hmm.
How was that created? Because we had a vibrant economy.
Yes.
Thanks to Dr. Anselm London.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And the opportunities started happening. We started seeing more people invested in apartments. People investing in equipment, buying equipment because there was a construction boom taking place.
Yeah.
You know? So people capitalized on it.
Yeah.
One man bought a truck and that truck brought in other stuff. Right? Because things started to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know? You remember when there was a protest, I think Ashwood Jack was still in office, in opposition. And there was a protest up in his constituency, somewhere in Palotiville or somewhere like that. Because of few people been sent home for a couple of weeks or something like that. And that was a big protest.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, Shaw Park was under construction. Right? You had the hospital under construction, so the construction industry was booming at the time. Right? And that's what contributed to a healthy economy. The flip side of that today is that people are being sent home.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So the spending power decrease.
Mm-hmm. And the construction sector has been shut down.
Of course.
Yeah.
You understand? So
I saw today one of their supporters really boasting about the work at Chauvin that's taking place. However, I looked at the photo and I really made an effort to see one Tobagonian working on the project. And I saw none of the vehicles are registered in Tobago. All the vehicles are from South Trinidad.
Yeah.
All the personnel on the job is from South Trinidad. And I try to figure out how could people support
because no Tobagonian can.
This administration who, and I want to use a statement the Chief Secretary used today, that anybody who doesn't support certain things that they're promoting for Tobago is a traitor. Well, I want to say
what they're promoting
that this administration, they're all traitors to Tobago.
Correct.
Because since coming into office, the most amount of contracts in the hundreds of millions that have gone to South contractors in Trinidad has been under this administration.
But you remember the campaign saying that the Tobago
Exactly.
I remember
and that they would not spirit away. Anytime you're doing that, you spirit away. And the amnesia of the persons who would have made these statements and all of that, it is amazing.
It's astonishing.
But it's amazing.
Gavin made a point with regards to persons who are choosing to forget the developments that happen. But there are a lot of persons, a lot of young persons who don't know. Because you grew up under this PNM, that's all you know. You don't know anything prior to that. So we need to, in all circles and using this platform to educate these young people, because they're being bamboozled by false statements. I don't want to say
and that's
false statements by persons who just don't want to admit that the PNM has had a hand in Tobago's development from 2000 to now.
Even beyond that, I mean, most of the development in Tobago it's courtesy the PNM, whether it's at local level or
exactly.
at central government level.
Correct.
Exactly.
Right? And it had developments that people objected to. You understand? But Tobagonians who pretend to love Tobago objected to.
Yeah.
Right? And the building of the highway was one such objection.
I heard that
Right?
story.
Yeah.
And I remember Hochoy Charles denying that nobody was told to lie down in front of Choctaw. That is not true. Because I spoke to a man over the weekend who was one of those protesters that he said Robinson encouraged them to lie down in front of Choctaws. And he was one who lied down in front of a Choctaw. And he said the Choctaw was coming with this big mountain of dirt pushing coming towards them. And then, well, at some point, they realized that they were being taken for a fool. Right? And that was the end of it. And I remember Pamela Nicholson, I hope she's watching this too, Pamela Nicholson saying to Tobagonians, do not accept those houses in Bonaccord and in Coral Gardens and even in Charlottesville because they are cowshed. Right? What if they didn't accept these houses, these cowshed? What would have happened down in these three locations? Bonaccord, Buku, and Charlottesville. What if we didn't accept the highway?
Yeah.
Huh? Look at the car population in Tobago and the highway is not big enough now.
Yeah.
Right? Were you telling people?
Progress.
But we have our own what if situation now with Sandals. The opportunity that was lost.
That's the next thing.
Opportunity that was lost. The massive opportunity. It pained my heart to see when I see the opening in St. Vincent.
Thriving.
Listen, work for the citizens in different aspects of the hotel, and we have. I don't even know is it the secretary or the chief secretary telling Tobagonians that the prime minister is mocking Tobago. No, he basically referenced that Tobago missed a huge opportunity. We missed a huge opportunity.
Well, that's customary. Every time they back against the wall, they try
blame
to
somebody.
somebody else. Folks, we want to take a short break. We have some bills to pay. And when we come back, we're going to continue the discussion, introduce probably another guest to the panel and continue looking at it from a layman's perspective, just, our expectations and so on, and our disappointments. So stay locked on, and we're going to be right back.
Good morning. Put a smile on your
Coconuts Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Dance Ensemble Tobago presents our signature event, a festival of dancing, Tobago Dance Sport Championship and Dancing with the Caribbean Stars. Dance in with DNA our 11th edition. Saturday, July 6th at 5 p.m. Shaw Park Cultural Complex. Featured in this year's lineup, Assemblyman Trevor James, Mrs. Petal Daniel Benoit, Mrs. Diane Baker Henry, Ms. Davia Chambers, Ms. Leslie Ann Ellis, and Ms. Sinel Dempster. Limited early bird tickets. Adults $150. After party only $100. Children pay $75 at the door. You don't want to miss this one. Get your tickets early from Dance Ensemble class members, D&D Jewelers at Tobago United Cooperative, Milford 24 Gas Station Canaan, and the Shaw Park Cultural Complex box office. For more information, contact Nikisha White at 772-9049 or Nelisa Dick 340-5758.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorns Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorns Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
Rotisserie, mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tapago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tapago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tapago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tapago's at your service.
So we are back, folks, and I don't want to waste any time because the conversation is mounting. Quite a bit of information and remembrance taking place, but let me take the opportunity to introduce our guests added to the panel this evening. I have with me now who many people call the heavy rollers, the heavy hitters. To my immediate right, Mr. James Trim, welcome to the Minority Report. Your first time, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, and thank you for having me tonight. And I want to say a pleasant good night to the people of Tobago, a pleasant good night to the Prime Minister and all the executive who would put this sport together. I think it was extremely great, and the message is there. Great is the PNM.
Thank you very much. And to your immediate right, someone who is not a stranger to the Minority Report. He has been on with us before. A real PNM stalwart and I mean a pioneer in Tobago, Mr. Selwyn Archer. Welcome, sir.
Good night, my brother, my good brother. Good night to the panel. Good night to Tobago, the political leader of the PNM. In fact, good night to every people, every individual that loves Tobago. Good night. I'm here tonight to give my best. Good night again.
So guys, we going right back into our conversation. We're discussing a lot of remember whens, a lot of things that would have been happening. But currently, what is your interpretation, your assessment of where we are? You know, we just want to get the feedback. You all are guys who go throughout Tobago. What is the word on the ground?
We can't wait. The word on the ground, we can't wait. That is the exact word on the ground.
But how do people feel about where Tobago is?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm in Tobago from actually the beginning of the assembly. I'm here from the beginning of the assembly, when we had chairman and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And we go on about 10 steps backward, what's really taking place now. I want to come forward to the era when Mr. London was there. Nobody restricted you from talking in the workplace. You could discuss anything as long as it's not obscene, whether political or what. You could have wear any type of garment you want to wear.
Any color?
Any color. Blue, black, red, yellow, whatever. You could wear a jersey with an emblem, what you like. You could drive a car. Let us say you're working in infrastructure. In those days, we call it works division. And the individual used to drive with a flag on the car. The individual who went for election Monday and come to work Thursday.
No problem.
With no victimization. It have individual who went for election 3 times and come back to work. I know there was an individual during the PDP time too, work in finance, went for election, lost the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday morning, back to work. With no victimization. It have individual who went for election. They're going to say I live in Plymouth or what? Went for election. And still go in the chief secretary office and work. As an individual with no victimization. Today, these same people who went for election, some of them went in the chief secretary office and work. Or what you call it, I might call it the type of work they're doing. And those are the people who naturally victimizing people walking from, as far as I hear, it's alleged that some people walking from division to division to know if you are somebody wearing a red jersey. Now, the problem is, when or if or when this regime lost, where these people go and live, who victimizing people? You feel they will be living in Tobago?
So essentially what you are saying is that one of the cries that you're hearing on the ground
I can't wait.
is that people are afraid of the victimization.
Well, that's one of the main things. Now, if you want to prove something, if I drive in a car, people know I'm a PNM, and I pick up somebody, and they feel that they were PDP or what, and I drop him out by infrastructure. I just call in a place. And when he go in, they say, well, PNM man bring you. They're going down to that. They're going down to that. And I'm telling you, I hear the chief secretary read out something that he call a budget. And within the budget, he's saying that if people don't like this, they're not natural to be Tobagonians. I want to know before if the same chief secretary was a Tobagonian. Because they get a John Prince report. We have the John Prince, what you call it, we have this internal self-government and things. And the same people who say that they want internal self-government are putting in that it's alleged. Asking the opposition not to support it.
Yeah.
The same opposition leader, which is Camilla Possard Bisheta, throw it up. I still be going to say, it tear her up. Rag it up and throw it. But today,
as encouraged by the people who say they love Tobago.
They say love Tobago. Love mean talking. Talk love and love. It's 2 different love. Talk love is when they want to kill you. When you have people just talking love is when they want to kill you. Love is when they're giving you have a bread, the hungry I give you a piece. Not to take away your bread. Not so much people bread they take away in Tobago. When you go down Friendship, they build a road in Friendship, oh God, Walter's there. If I say now, if I did not go and talk to the daughter and say, you're sitting down here and this thing happening. And we go on, the poor fella, anybody will go, they shift the road from the bridge and go on the man's house. Where is that should have passed behind our other man building? Because he's big. And he's part of them. They're going to weed the road from him and bring it on Walters. Anybody could go down there who big and have sense, could go down and catch it.
Is that true?
Well, Marilyn, the song is I Can't Wait. Well, you know, we become pilgrim travelers in the name of the PNM. So we traverse from village to village and we continue to collect information. Well, actually, people bring information to us because, you know, under the Orville London administration, there were a lot of assistance going out to the people because, you know, we have no factories on the island and the THA is the biggest employer. Along being the THA the biggest employer, the contractors will have filled the void.
Yeah.
And everybody was able to push a cart into any supermarket and come out with food. Because even though I work in URP, when I finish, I would have bathed and I'd go by Martino or I'd go by with the same owner. I just call him the breadwinner of Tobago because he was there from the time of Ho Choi Charles creation. Actually, they created owner. Right? Whether I go by Parks, whether I go, I and all as a subcontractor, I would have been able to live. And so as many of the young guys, because as a subcontractor, I would have been employing 15 persons. And when I say 15 persons, I'm talking about 15 fathers.
Yeah.
And 15 fathers that have 4 children, 3 children, how much? They would have been able to eat properly, drink properly, sleep properly, and stuff like that. Because mommy will not get no, because we know under the government system, the salaries are small. So the contractors were the ones that would have filled the void.
Yeah.
So when you kill the contractors, automatically you kill the economy of Tobago. So we calculated one contractor, as a big contractor, have 1,000 persons. That is 1,000 home he dealing with. That carries at least 4 children in a home. When you calculate that, check how big the numbers are. So when you take away the bread from this individual, what is going to happen in Tobago? The economy is going to, right now, the economy on the ground. If you walk around to all these supermarkets and you stand up, because we do all these kind of surveys, and you see people in Tobago living day to day right now. Whereas a man could have budgeted his story and say, like, this month, I go buy my grocery, I go pay quarter, I go pay standards, you know, because the program you all have with I Remember When is really a great program. Because I remember back in the days when people were using outhouse. Now you go to a man's house, he has 3 and 4 toilets in the house. I remember
the Latchman eradication program actually.
Complemented the PNM under Miss Groom Duke. My mother had 10 children and it's 2-bedroom and we used to have to sleep on a rice bag. Rice bag, we used to like sardine on a rice bag. Because the house was small. You go to the homes now, all children have their own bedroom. So, I want to say something tonight. I want to congratulate all the people in Tobago who profess to be doctors in psychology, doctors in maths, doctorate and PhDs. Because most of all, we continue to listen to them talk and come with their great plans. And the small man on the ground, nobody ain't really hearing the small man. So tonight, I really want to represent this small man, if you don't mind. Because it's the small man that feeling the pain. It's the small man who cannot pay $150 to Quartz for a fridge in the house and Quartz coming back with. It's the small man right now who cannot keep up with the debts at the bank because when I went to the bank, the documents say fortnightly again pay. Right now, 2, 3 fortnight coming and me ain't get paid. So when I get paid, all the money going to the bank with interest. So automatically, you continue to kill the economy of Tobago. I listened the budget speech by the great Chief Farley. And most of the conversation, we had the opportunity that all the things they now asking for, it was written on a green paper or blue paper. Nobody in the parliament was paying attention to it. Up come Dr. Rowley with a pull a team of people. He didn't add, he didn't take away. What he did, he was put it in a booklet with explanation, A for apple, B for bat, C for cat, come down the road. We had the opportunity to grasp at that. And this is why I know for sure that the people who run in Tobago can't run Tobago. You know why? If they had read that document, they would have encouraged the Kamala Persad-Bissessar to say, let me take it. Because the same policing where they're talking about, it's inside a day. The same more money where they're talking about, it's inside a day. The same education where they talk, all the things that they're busting up their mouth, if you read that document, you will see courtesy Tobago. We reject that. So how could you reject something and coming back to tell me about the same thing? It doesn't make any sense. Totally. Number 2, I have 1,060,000 people. I ain't going with 1,060,000 people. I have $7 billion. I say, all right, you take 2 point something and go and deal with 60,000. A lot of people in the different areas in Trinidad have a problem with our budget because they're saying it's only 60,000 people. Why are they getting so much? Right? Compared to the different. But we have to get, because based water distance and based on, we have no factory.
You mean the same people who was opposed to the autonomy bill?
Autonomy bill.
They just say, why Tobago getting so much?
Right.
And these are the people that this administration associating with.
They're associating with them, right? So, okay, your father say, all right, look, 2 point something, go and take care of your people. 300 million for development. When you look around Tobago and the rain coming down, so we have to pray to God that He show us mercy, that we end up in some real serious situation. Okay? You take that 300 point something million dollars, you call 3 men or 4 them, and you bust up the money.
From Trinidad.
Right?
From Trinidad.
None of the contractors in from Tobago. None of the equipment in from Tobago, because that is how some of the people are making money in the construction industry. Mr. Graham have tractors and excavator, a man who work, he will go and rent Graham truck, he will rent. So actually, the money was evolving around Tobago. Automatically, you just kill that involvement because you're not paying the contractors, you're not giving them no more work. The contractors from Trinidad, they come in with a cook and all. I is the guy who put the fencing for the road down in where they building down in Friendship. I have all my pieces. They call to construct
fence it off and so on.
Fence it off, right? They didn't want no Tobagonian, so they give me some Venezuelan to work with, but you don't know what's going on there. And I am in the construction industry for 20 years now. And my work will speak for itself. If I start from Charlottesville, take Hermitage, from Charlottesville Junction to Hermitage, all them retaining wall, the bridge to cross Hermitage, I construct all these things. Right? So you can't fool me with construction. And when I saw what they did to start the project, that project is not going to last. You must do soil tests and certain level of compaction, because remember, it's not a bicycle you're going and put on that road. So you had to deal in that department. And I just watch they throw some big stone and they throw some dirt and they just roll it and they go down the road. I would have asked a question, and based on the question, well, you know, I didn't have an next job. Because questioning the technical ability.
You're too small to question that.
Of the road.
Too small.
How much Tobagonian
walk on the road?
Work on
That is the question I wanted to raise.
Imagine these people so dread that after the last time people talk about them, when they bring up the equipment, then when they come back, they bring their cook and all in it. And they bring their grocery and all in it. So, no money.
Nobody benefiting to
right.
go there.
Don't do water.
Besides, if they went by a bar and take a drink.
Don't do water.
How could you love Tobago as the head, the father, and you will give away all your food? I know if you have food and your child line up there and the neighbor child line up there and you to share the food, you go share it to your children first. And you go hope that wherever remain, I will give the neighbor. But you give the neighbor all the food.
I want to throw this into the conversation as well. We saw just this past week, we would have started speaking to it as well on the last week's program. We saw a situation where 40 persons would have been called in and interviewed at the TRHA. And that situation has since developed into an open protest where we see locals, persons are affected to the tune where they were told that they could go ahead and resign their jobs. And what I'm saying here, this is not news to anybody. It's not any secret. This has been ventilated in the news, on the media. And persons are now in a position where, having resigned your job, the TRHA has not called you in for whatever reason. And then you saw mysteriously an entire batch of other persons who didn't go through the process now being called out and start working. And when asked or confronted about it, the chief secretary simply said that he will look into it.
Right. No, I want to ask you a question before I go deeper. When you buy a fridge, do they give you a manual?
Yes.
You buy a stove, they give you a manual. You buy a phone, they give you a manual. Could be a toy for your child, they're giving you a manual. If these group of people come together, they didn't have a manifesto, and they tell you, put we there, and we go wrong by the stadium, and all of we go sit down there, and we go come up with an idea. What do you expect out of these people? And that is what that is exactly what you're getting. You must have a plan. When you're going and build a house, you just have a plan, you know.
Yeah.
And based on where you're going to put down the house, if it's a commercial or resident, you have to go through town and country. And they have to vet everything. What side of come in, this health had to come in, that. So you can't tell me you want to govern 60,000 people. You don't even have a booklet to start. How would you get it right? You can't get it right. And this is what we will continue to see until these people get out of office. Because it's everything they're doing wrong, you know. Look, I see in Lescatu.
We wanna get some other comments before we close off. Just have a few minutes.
We have a health community center in Lescatu. The area representative come to Lescatu. She says she come to rebuild the community center. The contractor she hired, Lescatu Golden Inn have real contractors. The contractor she hired not from Lescatu. All the work was done, and not one carpenter, mason, green A-class builders got a day work. This is what we're facing.
Mr. Archer,
Mr. Moderator, what we facing, I put in Canaan Bonacol. We have a recreation ground. Recreation ground in a state.
That's a grazing ground now.
They came there and said they would have fixed it. They sent a grader, grade off a little thing, and now only sheep. I wouldn't say sheep, you know. Only sheep. They have grazing there. People can't even play. And the man promised, the same man who's skinning the teeth, when he and the Secretary for Infrastructure go anyway to show a bridge, that show halfway road, the beginning of the road and they go down to the end, he will stand up there and skin his teeth. And they're saying that they would have fixed that within the space of a week. That bothers me. We're spending money like we're mad.
Gavin.
Tobagonians, I don't want you to be perturbed by some of the activism you've seen on social media. Those are parasites. They cannot help you. They cannot help Tobago. The only political party that makes sense in Trinidad and Tobago is the People's National Movement. Is the only patriotic party, is the only national party. be part of that, and make sense. Thank you.
Some harsh and stern closing words there.
Of course.
From Gavin. And you know, I want to, as we're wrapping up, as we're winding down, and folks, over the next coming weeks, we're going to be seeing a lot more of these types of programs where we have persons coming in and just sharing their experiences. And as we heard this evening, the construction sector is dead in Tobago. The agricultural sector is dead. We saw the demise of TADCO. We see the health sector in Tobago in absolute shambles. The secretary is clueless. She didn't even understand how the hospital should operate. And thanks again to Dr. Agatha Carrington, who I had on the program a couple of weeks back, who had to come to explain. She did an excellent job of explaining how the hospital was constructed and what is the uses of the hospital. And thanks to that particular explanation that Dr. Carrington put out, we saw the Chief Secretary come last week to announce that they are presently putting certain things in place to operationalize the Roxborough Hospital to a 24-hour facility. Something that should have been done 2.5 years ago.
What it was built for.
For exactly what it was built for, because they came with everything. And we thank Dr. Carrington for being a part of the program and for really bringing that information forward. Folks, again, with everything that we hear, with everything that we see taking place, it would be remiss of me if I do not say it. This administration have failed the people of Tobago. They failed miserably. They came with promises and the proverbial dog with the bone. Tobago had something, and they say you never miss the water
Until
the well was
my father used to always say that to me.
And so now that the well has dried up, many Tobagonians are crying. But the People's National Movement will rescue Tobago very, very soon.
And Udo here will feel.
Udo here will feel. So folks, we want to say thank you for staying logged on with us. We continue to present you with the news. We continue to present you with the facts. And all we expect for you to do is to be wise in your decision-making process. I'm Marilyn David saying thank you for being with us this evening, and stay tuned to next Tuesday as we continue with our panel discussions. Have a good evening.